everybody, welcome back to the technical area, the Football Manager podcast brought to you by me, your host, Gaffer Graemo once again. It's been a long time. Welcome back. It's been very, very busy. There's been a wedding, a few days away. Work has been very, very busy, very, very stressful. And then the most unfortunate litany of illnesses, still getting over a second dose in 3 weeks here now, so I'm very sorry for that long delay. It's been a long time coming, but I am absolutely delighted to be back talking with you. The itch has been there for a long time, and I'm just glad I can be able to get back talking to you now. So hopefully now we can make it a real regular occurrence of this over the next couple of weeks. As things stand in Football Manager 2024, I am in a great place in terms of I've been able to draw a level in real life, finally, with FC Basel. You may have seen the blog posts. If you haven't, you'll find the links down below in the podcast description or the on the socials, all these places. But in terms of the Basel save, I am up to date. I've just completed match day 1 of the Swiss Super League. It was a very, very tense affair. The squad is far from ready. Season 1 ended the first weekend of June. The season 2 has started now, 21st of July 2024. So a very, very short break, a very, very short pre-season. So as things stand, we're just getting our feet. Transfer business will go all the way now till the early September now as well. So in terms of the squad, we're not exactly finalised there yet. The signings have been made. It's sales really we're looking at now, and potentially a few loans as well. A few young players we're trying to have move on. In terms of the save updates, I'm doing it as always on Slack. In fairness, great conversations there with Youth Intake Jose and Lestry there over the last couple of months as well on the save. They've kind of been keeping me going with those little updates, the little bits of feedback there, the conversations there. So big shout out to the two of those guys there as well, and congratulations Lestry as well, of course. In terms of the matches, the way I'm going to be kind of doing it is, obviously, look, I can only go past day by day, and building up now to a big Champions League second qualifying round tie against Cervena Red Star Belgrade. So yeah, you'll get a match report there, just like you got on Sunday after match day 1 of the Swiss Super League. In terms of the updates, that's what I hope to do it, a little bit like Real Time FM did. A few save updates, a few news updates, especially if a few transfers take place. Try and make it feel a little bit real, like it's happening in real life. I'd certainly know from watching Basel, the fans may wish that my universe was the real universe. But as things stand, look, that's how I hope to be doing it. I'll be getting in-depth tactical analysis. I'll be doing all of those little bits and pieces. I'll be doing a season review come July, earlier June of 2025 when the season is done. It's a long time away now, you think of it, but look, as things stand, you want to keep an eye on the save and how it's going along day by day. I'll be putting little bits up on Twitter, mostly on Slack. I seem to be enjoying Slack a little bit more lately. And then of course there'll be blog updates with every match. If you go onto the FM technical areas website, you'll see a real-time FM little page there. From the menu, click there and you'll get all the match updates there as things go along now from this season on, and as we go into the FM25 cycle as well, which, as you've seen from the title, is where we're going to go on today. As a time filler then, I've kind of dropped back into the Borussia Dortmund save from FM23, the one I finished up with, where we won the Conference League. So we've started into the 24-25 season there. Things are going pretty well. We started the season well, blew the first 2 teams away in our first 2 match days, kind of struggled in the third. We're just back after the international break. We've got a horrific set of fixtures in the Champions League. Absolutely horrific. The bookies are making us out as probable exiters in the league phase, which is not exactly, the news you want to hear, especially when there's no more drop down to Europa League. We've been drawn against Bayern Munich in the Deutscher Pokal, the DFB Pokal as well, so yeah, it's a very, very difficult, very, very challenging save already. Not long into the FM24 side of the save. I'm unlikely to continue it into FM25 really, if I'm truly honest, but look, as things stand, I can't rule anything out at any point in time. We don't know which way it's going to go, so we'll just have to wait and see how that works out. But look, speaking of FM25, let's get into it, shall we? Because that's where my thoughts are at the moment, especially this summer. After Sports Interactive and Football Manager, have released that blog regarding the update, the massive overhaul that we're going to see now coming into FM25, the screenshots. I think we all knew that it was going to be the end of a generation, the end of a cycle with FM24. That familiar phrase of the same but different no longer applies to Football Manager, I don't think, looking into 25. I think it's gone out the window, and we're in a place now for many of us where there's going to be many unknowns. It's going to be a bit of an adjustment process at the start. Things may be rephrased, located elsewhere. It's something we haven't seen in the past. I saw screenshots recently of Football Manager 2006, 2005. God, I miss those days. But when you look at the interface, you see how far it's come on. So, we're used to things being the same but different. It's going to be a big jump into this one. Revamps seem to indicate that we're going to be going into an integrated kind of workflow status. So kind of everything kind of accessible from one screen. I suppose if you've a touchscreen laptop, that might be fantastic to work on as well. I don't know. Obviously, it's a lot of guesswork now at this point. Visually, it looks to be something that you get an awful lot of information potentially on one screen. And if you were a visual content creator, which I am not, though dabbling a little bit here, I'm recording a video of me doing this podcast now, just going to try and see how this works and looks and feels. You might get a few clips of it going up live on the socials as well, so if you're not following the socials, check out there. But it looks to be like that. If you're a visual creator, FM25 is certainly going to be fantastic for you to work with in terms of this flow status that seems to be there, this workflow approach. For us, written audio creators, look, it's going to work for us as well. It'll just be, screenshots, all the stuff we've always done before, so things don't be an awful lot different. It might just be, like that, in a new skin, really, kind of a thing. Like, I'm only thinking out loud here. Obviously, we don't know an awful lot. But one of the things, I suppose, that's had me, kind of kept my attention, I suppose, really be a better phrase, over the last couple of weeks since the release of that blog has been, will our current tactical ideals, will our current ideas, how will they carry over into FM25? Obviously, look, we all try and replicate what we do see in real life. But in terms of translating it into the game, it is a game, so things do work an awful lot differently to what we are used to. So how is it going to carry over into FM25? And that's kind of how I want to work on these next few episodes here with you. I want to look and see and feel, how exactly can we look at Football Manager 25? How can we approach that now? Because as, Dan Gear put it excellently on Twitter there today, if you don't have your save prepared, if you haven't got your homework done, it's going to fall apart very quickly. Your save. So what is it we do? What is it we need to prepare? How can we build and set really solid foundations? So when it comes to FM25, right, we can adjust, but we have an idea of what it is we want to get into the game. Obviously, when it starts, we're all going to be picking a save. We're all going to be looking at the save reveals now, especially maybe even from August time when the 24-25 season starts for many European leagues. But we're going to see what the community is going. What are the angles people are going? We're going to see a lot of delayed stuff with the fact that the game is going to be completely revamped. In terms of picking a save, I asked there on the Twitter polls last week, and 75% of people who responded said they use blogs, articles, books as their primary resources or primary reference point for Football Manager saves. That's how they go, that's how they pick. And to be fair, look, I can't say I've thought differently after reading Angels with Dirty Faces, the names heard long ago, those Jonathan Wilson books. My mind instantly goes to, I'm going to manage in Hungary, I'm going to manage in Argentina. There's been plenty of ideas I've had from those type of places. Only 25% of responders said it was YouTube that they got their ideas from. And to be fair, the likes of Tifo, plenty of other YouTube channels out there, they do excellent analysis and tactical work on many of the teams that are out there in Europe and across the world. So potentially there for you, I can see the appeal of using YouTube there to find your save. But really, like that, it's something that's individual. It's something that can even change from year to year. Like I worked in Lucan in Dublin, the home of the Sarsfield family, who emigrated to Argentina, became quite renowned in Argentina. Football club gets named after the local train station, which is named after the family, Vélez Sarsfield. I tried that there in Football Manager a couple of years ago. Sometimes like that, there is a connection with a save that doesn't exactly go with blogs, articles, books, that doesn't go with YouTube. There's just these connections that exist that we just aren't really aware of. And if you look around some of the Football Manager blogs, sites, all these kind of conversations that take place online, I've linked these articles in the episode notes down below. FM blog kind of said, look, maybe you should pick a safer country you've been to on holiday. You can see there's a Real Mallorca jersey there over my shoulder. I love Mallorca. We've been there a few times on holidays. It's a save that I have potentially looked into, as well as Atletico Baleares. I just have the jersey hanging up here beside me. The other island team there. So you're going to say, can you take this team and usurp that big team there? Like, how many times have we looked at that FM save, especially when you've been somewhere on holidays? Lanzarote, for example, we're all familiar with the team, the stadium near Arrecife Airport near Porto del Carmen. But, the big island team there are Tenerife and Las Palmas. So can you take the smaller team, usurp the others? There's great ideas there. Look at teams with the third or fourth most titles in a country is another suggestion they have. It's something I tried back in, was it FM19, FM18 maybe, with Saint Etienne. Can I get a league title in before PSG overtakes Saint Etienne? Obviously, as we've seen in real life, PSG have overtaken Saint Etienne at an absolute canter, an absolute breeze, despite the fact we've seen other teams win the league more recently. That in France that are not PSG, but still, we just have to say and look here and say, well, I couldn't achieve that one there, but that's always an option there. A club that missed out on continental football by one position, again, a great bit of fun there. Can you go at one step further? And I suppose with the fact that now in Europe we have that third tier competition in the Conference League, again, if you could be a smaller team there and have a long term save that you can build from. A piece written on the Football Manager site says, look, it kind of looks at some of the traditional save ideas we've had on Football Manager blogs, posts, videos, articles, YouTube, all these things, YouTube videos over the years, build up a fallen giant. There's a great one in Barcelona, CD Europa, one of the founders of the Spanish league system, gotten relegated, have never gotten back up to La Liga. There's a great long-term save there if that's something you're looking for. A relegation threatened team, look, we've just seen Bordeaux relegated today to the third tier in France. There's a great long-term save potential there. Up-and-comers, what up-and-comers exist out there in football that you kind of say, I want to join this. Como probably being the best example there. Big fish, small ponds, teams that dominate in smaller leagues. The minute in Ireland you could say it's Shamrock Rovers, but thankfully my beloved Shelbourne are top of the league at the point of recording, at this time of recording, and we are about to play FC Zurich in the Conference League qualifiers Thursday evening. So again, excitement there. But like that, big fish, how far can you go with them, especially when you're in a small pond? Where are the hotspots for new gens for development in Europe or abroad? Where can you go and manage a team and develop this fantastic team of new gens with a fantastic youth academy and set you up for a long-term save that's absolutely going to be phenomenal? What teams are fantastically on the data-driven side of things? What teams are fantastic at youth development? There's so many options out there. And even you look at like FM Reddit, sometimes I try to drop in there and see what's going on. Random, just put all the leagues in, spin a wheel, random, right, that's where I go. Put all the teams in, random, that's where I go. Bit of fun, surprise there. A little bit different not too dissimilar to the surprise short kind of idea of doing things. Some people like to go to a new league or a new nation somewhere they haven't managed before. Some people like to look into unique clubs where things are a little bit different. Stories, of course, then there's the lower league management side of things. But look, in terms of picking a save, looking into FM25, that is always one place to start, building and finding a connection that's there. But it can only take us so far. As we all know, as a manager, you've got the idea of a save, but what way is it you're going to approach it? And I suppose the three kind of key points I want to talk about here on the podcast after this picking a save thing is look at tactical identity, to look at tactical trends, the FM match engine, and then to look at a managerial journey, because I think that's something that needs to be considered now, especially that we have this, save transfer feature. But look, we'll get to that there now in a few minutes, if you are willing to bear with me. But of course, like that, when it comes to a tactical identity, it's something that many of us, it may be a point that we say, that's my starting point for Football Manager 25. I'll find a team that later on, but I want to find a tactical identity first. It's something I've done. With Basel, it's 4-2-3-1 only. In FM23, it was back three systems only. It started at Arendelle, it followed me to Sampdoria, and it followed me to Borussia Dortmund, which I've carried through. So in the two saves I've kind of going on at the minute, the real life one and then the fun offline nearly kind of save, I've two very, very different tactical styles going on. And one of the principles of both saves is I can't deter from these. With Basel, it has to be a 4-2-3-1. I can't compromise. At Borussia Dortmund, it has to be a back three. With wing backs then, with that, how it shapes up going forward, it depends. Sometimes I have two strikers with 1 10 behind. This year I've kind of experimented a bit with 2 10s and one striker. So I can experiment. There's a little bit of freedom to it there, but the back three is the primary principle. But the thing with tactics is, it's not always a formation. It's not always just limiting yourself like I have there in that way. Because the thing with your tactical identity is, it can be like that, a system, a philosophy. And it's something that we know, if you're creating a tactic on Football Manager and you're using one of the presets, your system, your identity is something that you can begin with very, very freely and easily. And if you go into gegenpressing, if you go into control possession, if you go into wing play, direct or fluid counter-attack, whatever it is, the game has these preset formations that you can work within. So if you want to just be a direct counter-attacking team, you can have 3 shapes, all direct counter-attacking. One has a back 3, one has a back 4, and then beyond that point, the makeup of the midfield and the forwards is different. But still, there's a flexibility in formation there. But like that, your tactical identity isn't tied up in a formation, like mine is in my saves that I'm working on at the moment. The tactical identity is this system and a philosophy, something that you're looking into. And the thing is, the question that you have to answer, the question you have to be able to say when you load up the game for the first time is, what is it you want to see in all phases of the game? How do I want my team to look in possession? How do I want my team to look in transition, whether it's going into a defensive state or an attacking state? And how do I want my team to look like out of possession? There are those 3 boxes on the left hand side of the tactics screen, and they're 3 things that you do need to have an answer for. So when you're talking about your tactical identity, what is it you want to see from your team in all phases of the game? Because just like gegenpressing, like tiki-taka, all of these things, what is it, how is it you want your team to look? And there was a great point made on a recent episode of was it On the Continent or the Football Ramble? One of those by the Football Ramble by Andy Brassel was, sometimes we need to allow players to interpret positions and with the roles and then adjust around them. And that's something I've, that kind of struck a chord at me, because it's something I've had to do in my own save. When you have a 4-2-3-1 and you can't really change too much, you've got to see the players, what roles can they play in, and how can I make this a little bit different? Can I go really wide? Can I go really narrow? Can there be some rotation, some tactical fluidity within this, that in possession or actually a 3-5-2 or something like this, whatever way you want to break it down. And like a reference in the end of season 1 review blog post, the left kind of side of the pitch kind of became a little bit of a tricky point for me. In January, the option to sign a player my scouts were raving about, Manuel Polster from Austria Vienna, became an opportunity that I could take. Unfortunately, I didn't have the finances to make it happen permanently at the time, but I took him in on an 18-month loan. Polster had 18 months left in his deal. The hope was I'd be able to take him in for 18 months. If things were going well, then make it permanent. Unfortunately, just after 6 months into the loan, Polster signed a new long-term deal with Austria Vienna, which means it'll be very unlikely I'll be going to be able to afford him at the end of his loan, which bit of a kick, to the Nards there. But the fact that I have him now, how can I make it work with Manuel Polster? has been a little bit challenging because my number one choice at left back has been Dominic Schmidt. Schmidt, I like to play as an inverting wing back because Schmidt is also capable of playing as a centre midfielder defensively or in the full centre midfield strata there as a deep line playmaker. So I like him to invert, and be able to play in there. So when my left back inverts, I can't have my left winger inverting. So I have to play a wide player because otherwise I've lost the whole left side of the pitch. There's no width there. It's too narrow. And sometimes you need that crossfield outlet ball that I just don't have. So what's going to happen is then Polster, who's an inside forward, can't play with Schmidt. It just isn't working. So I've had to come up with the combination in the final 6 months of the season to get the best out of those two players was when Schmidt starts, Dubassin or Anton Cade has to start on the left-hand side as a winger. So Schmidt can invert and then Dubassin or Cade will stay wide. If Polster is starting, then Schmidt's deputy, Hugo Vogel, had to start because he is just an orthodox attacking wing-back. It's a compromise I've had to make. I can play Schmidt as a wing-back, absolutely. But for me, what I want Schmidt to do, how he interprets the role, that's more important to me than having him compromise how he plays the role. So you could say I'm weakening the side, but really what I'm doing is I'm just providing a different way of providing width and narrowing the width on that one flank of the pitch, which has been something that, I've had to adjust and work around. But that's something we as managers have to do. We have to find solutions, especially when we have these extremely talented players like Manuel Polster and Dominic Schmidt. We have to find ways of getting the best out of both. And sometimes like that, the compromise is they can't always play together. But that's not a bad thing because, if one's not playing, you've got a threat with the other. Another kind of thing, I suppose, like that we just need to think of is, as well as the tactical trends. So we're trying to work on an identity. Tactical trends do affect Football Manager and the match engine. How often was 4-2-3-1 gegenpressing just a game breaker? It was a standard tactic built into the game and they just ran right on the match engine. As we know, the match engine at this stage is just, years and years and layers and layers and layers built one on top of the other. And what we're going to see now in 25 is something completely different. It could be a flexible, adaptable one that changes as we play, as we go further into seasons. I don't know. None of us know at this point, really. But, one thing we've seen in FM24 has been the trend of positional play has become very, very important. Because positional play has become the trend of the time that we're playing at the moment. When we look at the tactics, we look at teams are playing at the moment, positional play is becoming more and more important, more relevant, and more of a mainstream conversation. So one thing is to consider is, are we going to have to taper our tactical identity? Are we going to have to adjust our tactical identity to the match engine, to the trends of our time? We're not in the era of Catenaccio anymore. So if you want to play a Catenaccio style, how are you going to interpret Catenaccio in this new system, in this new era of positional play? Things like this do need to be considered. We also are now going to have to reimagine pressing. What just seeing now, just before I start recording, that a case has been taken by the players against FIFA for scheduling. And it is something that we are all very, very familiar with in Football Manager, is that we are playing a lot of games and there's an awful lot of training time when you are in continental football especially. Or like that, if say you're in the lower leagues of England where you've got the FA Vase, the Johnson's Paint Trophy, whatever it's called now. Forgive me for not knowing. But, when there are multiple cup competitions, you've got midweek games and the regular, you're not going to have an awful lot of time for training, an awful lot of time for recovery. So really, if you want your team to be pressing is a very intense way of playing. Your players will be drained physically. And when you consider my Basel side have not had a long pre-season, I haven't been able to build up a solid fitness base there really, which is going to really hit us hard. And it's causing me now to really reimagine how I press. Because the more games I play, the less energy my players are going to have. The less energy my players are going to have, the less intense and effective the pressing is going to be. So really, I have to reimagine my pressing. And that's something I feel we all have to do in Football Manager. We can't go all out pressing. How are we going to reimagine our pressing? Are we going to set up pressing traps? Are we going to sit deep? Are we going to press with a mid block? All of these things need to be considerations. These are trends that are happening in real life. So they're trends that are going to affect us in game, really, because Football Manager does like to reflect real life. We all know that. So you really need to reimagine your pressing style and how you're going to adjust to that going forward in this game. One of the best ways, I think, that goes back to one of the phrases I heard as a kid in training sessions with coaches, as an adult playing men's football, was let the ball do the work. And it's something I say an awful lot now as a coach as well. The ball doesn't get tired, but you will. So let the ball do the work. And potentially the best way forward for you will be stifling the opposition by controlling the ball. That controlling possession might be the possible best preset to start Football Manager with. Controlling the ball and building a team around this philosophy, this tactical identity. With the Euros, we saw teams pressing was not as strong as we would expect in this era of pressing. So potentially this trend we might see in Football Manager. Teams are not as effective as pressing because they're more tired. So controlling the ball might be the preset that we see dominate Football Manager. And then like that, positional play working within this controlling possession environment. The final point though I do want to make, because I want to touch on all of these, tactical identity, tactical trends, all of these, I want to touch on them in more detail, and I've got the next 6 episodes planned out. Whichever one wins a vote, I will nearly kind of say, well look, I'll offer out to you, you get to pick which one I release next, because I hope to get these all recorded in quick succession, because I'm working hard on getting the notes and the scripts together at this point. So like that, I will go back to tactical identity in more detail. I'll focus on specific managers. Tactical trends, I'll do the same, focusing on managers and styles of play. But the last point I just want to touch on in this kind of getting back into Football Manager podcasting and getting it, looking forward to Football Manager 2025, is a managerial journey. The fact that we can now transfer, say, from one edition of Football Manager to the other, it means a manager's journey, tactically, philosophically, or just a story. A career is now more than one Football Manager edition. And it's something that I thought back to Real-Time FM doing years ago, Football Manager being ahead of his time, because like that, there was no ability to transfer safe then. But yet Real-Time FM played Football Manager, and not only just played Football Manager in that sense, but played Football Manager day by day. And now that's how I play it, day by day, and I can carry it forward edition to edition. I don't know how long I'm going to be at Basel, but like that, come this time next year I could have been sacked. Come this time next year I might have gotten a job offer to move elsewhere. I don't know. But in Football Manager, a managerial journey is now more than one edition. So you can do a one save game. So you can pick one team, manage it for all of FM25. Go 10, 15, 20 years into the future, whatever it is you're able to do. And then say, I'm going to keep this same manager and follow on, but I'm going to move somewhere else. So our chances of doing a long-term journey are there now. So one thing I'd maybe advise to do, take a bit of time to do it between now and release. Not saying to do it now immediately, but plan a career path. And it's something I've seen, as a very, very disappointed Liverpool fan, I can admit, to see Xabi Alonso has a career path, a career plan in mind, when he very early on in the Jurgen Klopp replacement process said, look, I'm staying at Bayer Leverkusen. It's the right decision for Xabi Alonso. So that's something maybe we have to do, is there's no rush now in Football Manager. We can kind of slow things down. We can plot every move. There isn't a rush to change. Like Alonso, we can plot a move. Maybe, hopefully, be able to start off like that with Real Sociedad B or Borussia Dortmund 2, even 1860 Munich 2, whoever it is, someone low down, a B team. Start off there with little to no pressure. build a reputation, and then go long term and say, well, look, I've gotten to this point at the end of FM24, at the end of FM25, whatever it is. My next move is going to be, I want to go to a club just outside of continental football. I want to go to a club in a top tier. Whatever it is, I want to move to a new country, a new continent. We can now plan a career path. And that's something we can all really consider and take the time to say, well, FM25, FM24, this opportunity is there now at this point. And it's not too late to start. Like, it's July, or say November release date, 4 months there, 3.5 months, whatever it is, before FM25 comes out. In the next 3.5 months, whatever it is till that comes out, start your journey now. Maybe start that new save, plan this new journey now, take the time now. And the thing is, if you want to go slow like me and do it in real time, there's a multi-save opportunity there, like having 2 saves. Go real time and then have a career path, whatever it is, in the other one that you're kind of in the year 2160. And like that, you've managed to, win the MLS for 100 years in a row. But whatever it is, there's so many possibilities now with this save transfer feature. But a manager's journey is now, I think, something that can be really at the heart of every football manager player's journey. And whether you dabble in it and you play it for 3-4 days a week, or you play it for 6 weeks, take a 6-week break, come back to it 6 weeks later, there's a journey, a story to be written there. And sometimes like that, it could be just as simple as like that. Pen and paper, just kind of writing things down, working things out. That could be the future to how we play Football Manager, keeping things going on the side, whatever it is, whatever way you want to play the game, because that's the great thing as well about Football Manager. There's no one way to play this game. But look, really, the way I want to finish this episode up is, the time is now to start thinking about FM25 because of this save transfer feature, because there's going to be so much change. But because as well, there's a lot of talk right now, the Football Manager, or the football podcast as well, a lot on top of tactics, a lot on top of philosophies. It's a great time to listen, reflect, just kind of dabble really in, a little bit of deep thinking about the game and how it is we all play it. But finding a connection, that's always the key point. We all have to have this connection with a save for whatever point, whatever reason it is. Maybe over the next couple of weeks, couple of months, you're going to pick a team and a style you like. You're going to manage them for one season. Doesn't matter if they're a team that won the league in the 23-24 season, whatever. Pick a team that you like, a style that you like. Pick a system, manage them for one season, fine-tune the philosophy, fine-tune the tactics. And then it's something you have that you can take elsewhere. The Inter Milan team of this season, I managed to see them live and they absolutely blew me away. So that could be, if I was in that situation, I'd manage Inter for a season, try and replicate Simeone's style and, go elsewhere, take it elsewhere. Take Simeone's style and maybe drop down to Serie D and say, right, I'm going to start with whatever team I can find here. And we're going to try and play Simeone's style all the way up into Serie A and potentially win it in the long run. But like I said, the next few episodes, we're going to explore philosophies, we're going to look into identities, we're going to think of key considerations of building a solid foundation to get us up and running and taking FM25 by the horns. There are going to be polls on Twitter. There's going to be conversations in the FM's technical area Slack channel. There's a link to join the channel down below if you're on Slack as well. Just come into the Gaffer Graemo one there. I'll throw it all down below. Just come have a chat, places like that. We're going to talk about what the next episode will be. I'm going to leave that up to you. Which style, which philosophy are we going to begin with? But like that, you can let me know your thoughts on the episodes. Let me know what you're thinking for FM25, how you approach picking a new save, making a connection, all of these things. It's a great time to be involved, and hopefully like that we can have great conversations here, whether it is you're just listening to me or getting involved, whether it's just clicking a poll or responding to a tweet or throwing a contribution into the channel, whatever it is, over on Slack. But look, it's great to be back talking to you now. Hopefully we can make this a regular weekly occurrence like it once was. I've got my little space here now, decorate with the jerseys, all of these things. Hopefully kind of keep you on your toes by changing these up week in, week out. See if you can spot the pattern behind me, what colour scheme I went for. But look, it's just great to be back talking to you. I've been Gaffer Graemo, and I'll talk to you again really soon. Bye now.